I hope you guys are ready for another Pokemon video because that's all I'm going to be bringing to you guys. Welcome back to Minimum Discount Brokkoli, and today we're going to be seeing why the Gen 5 games aged so well with me, that is Kappa. The Gen 5 games aged much better than any other games, and although weren't the best of their times, are admittedly the best amongst many fans today. And to know why Unova did so well, we have a short answer and a long answer. If you want to leave the video right now, the short answer is 2 words: the American experience. Yup, that's it. Pretty much why the entire generation did so well. Admit it or not, everyone, or pretty much everyone, loves the West, and maybe a little too much at that. That's probably why the Gen 5 games did this well, because they were inspired so heavily by the American culture. But there is much more to it than just that. Speaking of why they aged so well, do you know what aged other than the games? Yup, you guys, the gamers. And do you know what happens with age? We start picking on subtle hints. As kids, many people didn't like these games because there was a lot of hidden references, and if you don't get the joke, you don't like the joke. But what if you get the joke and only subconsciously enough? It wasn't blatantly obvious. That's when you love the jokes most, don't you? That's what happens with aging. We all love those subtleties in our games, the nuances, and I think Gen 5 did that pretty well. A not so subtle aspect of these games, however, would be the names. They're based on America, and the names are black and white. Does that remind you of something related to America? Leaving that up to you guys, let's get to a few more intricacies in these games that you'd want to notice. First of all, they put everything in stark contrast to each other, which made it so much more interesting. The ideals versus reality. That's a thing that a lot of us still are confused with in our very own lives, and maybe making the games so relatable to our own lives made them that much more interesting. What else added to these games was the major role that Team Plasma played. Although the teams in the previous games were quite important too, none as important and prominent as Team Plasma. Team Plasma is literally like an American propagandist party today. They made everything perfect with Team Plasma. False promises, you have that. Convincing people and persuading them rather than outright trying to kill them when you see them, sounds like Team Plasma. There's an internal dispute between the team where the old believers now have come to realize that their ideals were wrong. Sounds like Team Plasma. There's slavery. Sounds like Team Plasma. There's even capitalism where they want to keep all the Pokemon to themselves because Pokemon matters more than money in this world, since it's directly related to power. So Team Plasma had everything that the American system today has, and probably why Team Plasma makes such an exceptional representation of the American experience. Moving away from politics and history because, well, you're probably not that interested in it. Unova also brought in a lot of new things. You have an entirely new dex. Everything is starting fresh, starting new. All your Pokemon, from the Pokeball Mimic to the Pikachu clone to your starters to the regional decks, everything is entirely new. They made sure not to bring any of the old stuff back in here. And well, when you apply the same old formula to an entirely new place, that just does well, I guess. They also had so many more choices. You had choices with your Elite Four. That's something, again, pretty new. They went astray from whatever they were doing so far, but just enough to keep you hooked on, make it relatable, and yet feel new. That's probably why Unova is so enjoyable. They also had thematic settings. Up till now, although they did take inspiration from real places and real lore, it wasn't as heavy as Unova did from America. They had literal representations of every sort of American culture as themes of different cities and gym leaders. You even had hot models, miners, and rock bands. There's nothing Unova missed on when it came to deriving its inspirations. Unova was also a high-risk game. They went into it introducing so many new things. They had dynamic animations, although pixelated, and not everyone enjoys them. The music on a bridge was a dude singing something that sounds like country music for music on a bridge. You also have a lot of bridges, and you have Pokemon fusions, which was the most fictitious thing before Black 2 and White 2 came out. There's a lot more in these games. You have studios, you have keys, which were probably not the most popular new things that Unova brought with it, but you also had things like the Join Avenue, the Pokemon World Tournament. It was all there. This was packed with features, and there was pretty much nothing that Unova missed on. Finally, we come to more obvious and larger aspects of the game. The pacing was perfectly matched with the game. I'd say, especially in Black 2 and White 2, it was a little slow in Black and White, with Team Plasma being overly involved and, the champion not being the champion because they got defeated by the green-haired kid. But overall, the pacing was much better than the other games. It wasn't, you didn't feel detached from the games, you felt quite involved, especially since it wasn't just you fighting this time. Even the characters like the gym leaders were in the fight with you to defeat Team Plasma. Also, Team Plasma had like exactly 9 members, and the gym leaders were also about 7 to 8 of them. So I guess it was all, it looked much more balanced and realistic than any game that came out before it. It also had the perfect setting. It was a widespread map. There was a lot to explore. The difficulty was pretty well done too. And most importantly, there was a good post-game, I'd say. There were a lot of legends to catch in Black 2, White 2, but even other than that, you had a few cities to explore. The Black City and White Tree Hollow were, or rather, White Forest, I guess. Black City and White Forest were such cool places. I love how they changed the perspective, and I think a lot of fans agree with me here. So that's about it for this moderately sized video on why the Unova games did as well as they did when it comes to aging. Anyway, if you enjoyed videos like this, let us know down in the comments. Do you agree or disagree or have more to add? I can make a half-an-hour video on the same thing too. So let me know. Stay tuned, and thank you for watching.